After getting a big win in Week 12, the Jaguars came out this week and got a loss this week against the Bills. It was a rough week for the Jaguars, really in every facet. They were pretty bad. Particularly bad was Chad Henne. That's going to be the storyline, obviously, because the quarterback position is so unsettled in Jacksonville. But Chad Henne, there's a lot of excuses for his play. It was a sloppy weather game. The receivers didn't help him out much. He didn't have much help behind him in the backfield as far as running backs go. But all that aside, he was pretty inaccurate for most of the game. Completed well under 50% of his passes. Not well under, but was under 50% of his passes. And he really struggled to get the ball moving down the field all game. Had it not been for a muffed punt at the very end, this game wouldn't even been a little bit close. It was pretty much a blowout in the second half. The Jaguars were very ineffective offensively. The Bills were very effective offensively, and it was really because they were just blowing the Jaguars' defensive line off the ball consistently. Both Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller really shredded up the Jaguars' defensive line pretty badly, and the Jaguars' running game couldn't do the same. Rashad Jennings only had 8 yards on his first 7 carries, and he finally broke out a pretty decent run and ended up had a head injury and left the game. Montel Owens didn't do terrible. He gained 29 yards on 7 carries, but it wasn't enough to really keep the offense balanced, and the Jaguars had to rely way too much on the passing game, whereas the Bills only threw the ball 19 times, and they really leaned on the run, which is exactly what you have to do in one of these sloppy weather games. Really, one of the only things left to watch for the Jaguars is the number one pick, obviously. The Chiefs won, so the Jaguars and the Chiefs are now tied for the NFL's worst record, although the Chiefs do have the tiebreaker right now for strength of schedule. But another thing is Cecil Shorts. He's become a fan favorite. Everybody likes the guy, and he's coming closer to breaking 1,000 yards, which would be something that no Jaguars receiver has done since Jimmy Smith. So it's been a while. He cracked 800 yards on the season this week, which puts him. There's only 4 other players who have ever done that in Jaguars uniform. So he's having a very good season. He had another good day today. 7 catches, 77 yards. Got a touchdown late in the game to get his 7th of the season. He ended up leaving the game with a concussion. It didn't look too serious the way he hopped up and walked off the field. He didn't have. There wasn't too much concern, it looked like, on the face of trainers as he walked to the locker room late in the game. But it's a concussion, so it's tough to tell right away. So we'll see how that looks through the week. Next week, the Jaguars are going to host the New York Jets, which is a game that a lot of people have had circled on the schedule for most of the season, simply because of the storyline with Tim Tebow. Obviously, that's been a running storyline ever since he left the Florida Gators, is the connection between the city of Jacksonville and Tim Tebow. Whether or not he starts, who knows? I know there was a whole thing with Mark Sanchez playing terrible today. Greg McElroy came in the game, so it could be Greg McElroy starting. Who knows? But that's probably going to be the biggest storyline of this week. And then after that, the Jaguars are going to. The season's coming to a close, which is really a good thing at this point after such a rough year. And it could be Geno Smith that could be the future of the Jaguars franchise. After this loss and the Chiefs win, the Jaguars are going to be closer to the top of the draft. And Geno Smith looks like he's the number 1 quarterback prospect available. So it could be him. But that'll be things that we'll be talking about these last 4 weeks. Those are really the only things left to look for. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll be breaking down this and film and talking more about other games. And then check us out on BigCatCountry.com for all kinds of Jaguars coverage.